And we are live. What's up, everyone? It is February. It's time for another piece of content with Company Cam. I'm excited for this one, guys. I gotta admit, my entire family minus my wife. My wife's teaching right now, but is at the office. My 2.5-month-old is getting babysat by Jamie from our marketing team, and the boys. I just went and checked on the boys. They're watching Pokemon packs get opened on YouTube. So I got the whole family down here. I'm on paternity leave, but the opportunity to hang with you three, I was like, guys, I will figure out who's going to watch my kids. I'm jumping in on this webinar. So we've got an awesome group here today. When I titled this, I said, let's call it Turf Wars because it's kind of got a twofold piece here with that name. So we got Joseph Hughes and Tim Brown. Joseph with Contractor Dynamics, marketing training. So teach you guys how to do your marketing. And then we got Tim Brown on the more agency kind of, and he'll do it for you. You kind of just are a part of the ride. So that's the one piece. But then when you think about marketing, and I'm going to use Joseph's line here, how do I become 5 Mile famous? I said, well, that's what we want to talk about is how do I leverage CompanyCam in my marketing? Because CompanyCam is a documentation communication tool, and well, I got to have some sort of documentation, and I've got to figure out a way to communicate that. And so we brought in probably the most 5 Mile famous person I could think of. There's probably somebody out there that rivals him, but Benny Fisher with Big Fish Contracting. Guys, thanks for jumping in with us today. We're going to kind of go roundtable style with this. So I'm going to, be firing questions, and I'll get your guys' input. Tim and Joseph from a marketing angle, and then Benny from both a marketing angle, but then actually implementation of how he's using CompanyCam to become 5 Mile famous. So guys, thanks for jumping in today.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Michael. Hey,
Thanks.
I want to let you know, tell your sons, the three of us all have YouTube channels, so they could be watching our content instead of Pokemon cards.
You would be amazed at how many times they get annoyed by seeing Luke Hansen, our CEO's ads pop up in their YouTube videos. So, yeah. Well, guys, let's kind of just kick this off. Quick introductions, just so that people kind of know who they're, who's joining us. I'm just going to go left to right with what I see here in the Zoom. So we'll kick it with Joseph first, then Benny and Tim. Just give us that elevator pitch of, who's Joseph and what Contractor Dynamics is.
All right, guys. Awesome. I'll keep it brief. So grew up in the contracting industry, a 6th generation member of my family's construction business. So a lot of family business probably listening, watching this. Definitely an awesome dynamic. Started Contractor Dynamics in 2013, 10 years ago. We're a marketing training company. So we equip people and companies with the tools to transform and grow. That's our purpose. The simple version of that is we train you on how to create your own content, run your own marketing, generate your own leads and sales, and really build out a marketing machine in your business. I believe, as Grant Cardone says, that your biggest problem is obscurity. Not enough people know about you. So the biggest takeaway I want you to have is that you've got to wake up every day and ask yourself how you can get more people to know about you and your business, and ideally associate you with you in a positive way. So that's what I want you to focus on every day.
And I'm Benny Fisher. I have a roofing company in Pittsburgh called the Big Fish Contracting Company. I started my career in sales back in my 20s, and then moved to Pittsburgh to learn the roofing industry with my uncle. He was a commercial roofer. And at that time, Facebook was starting to pop off, and I was also starting to learn from Gary Vee. And when I had the chance to go start my own residential roofing company, I took everything I learned about sales and then roofing, and then the new stuff I was learning about marketing and social media, put it together, and poof, out popped the Big Fish Contracting Company. And so I have a really strong passion for marketing and branding, and I'm excited to be here.
And I'm Tim Brown, and I'm the owner CEO of Hook Agency. Made a lot of websites. Originally, I was a website designer and developer, and over time, I would have people like, what can we do to make this website look prettier or better, or certain things. to get more customers. I'm like, it doesn't matter how many times you redesign this website, it's not going to get customers on it. So I had to start to learn how to help people get more people to their website. And I had learned how to do it for myself, ranking for a few competitive terms. And so let them know that that I was at the beginning of that and tried to help people. And then the demand for that has gone up to the point where we're mostly our big bread and butter right now is helping to get more people onto websites with Google and SEO. We work with primarily roofing companies, a lot of home service contractors, but we've learned how to kind of create processes and systems around this niche, and it allows us to be a little bit more efficient and effective.
Awesome. So again, we're going to go roundtable style. We want questions. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, I'm going to guess most of you have been in Zoom here in the last 3 years. We've become very accustomed to using Zoom, but there's 2 places that you can get those questions over to me. The chat. So if you look in your Zoom, type in the question you want to get answered from any of the 3, or if you want something answered by myself, happy to do that as well. And the other would be the Q&A, and you can type your questions in either spot. I've got a few questions teed up for my, just that I want to get answered. And so while I'm asking those, that should probably get us some good conversation. And then I would assume we'll get some questions from you guys. First question I have, and again, this is how do I take my CompanyCam, the documentation that we're doing on a daily basis on all of our jobs, and leverage that into some sort of marketing so that I can not just have documentation on this job, but hopefully drive that into more jobs. I'm going to go with Benny first. Benny's the guy. He's the 5 Mile Famous. Benny, when you think of CompanyCam and you think of being able to leverage CompanyCam in your documentation in a marketing way, or maybe how you actually are already doing this, what's the number one thing that comes to your mind of, hey, this is the feature that I would use to market through CompanyCam?
Well, it's definitely different now than it was when I was first starting to use CompanyCam, and I think that goes to show for all the cool advances that CompanyCam has made over the years. But I really like the showcase feature, to where we're able to document our pictures as part of our process with our homeowners and with our project managers and our team. And then we're able to go in, and my marketing manager is able to go in and then click on the photos that she actually then wants to display to the showcase. And then that showcase is then embedded into our website. And so customers can always see kind of a live updated feed. I think we do it like maybe once a week or twice a week. We'll go in and just, pick the ones that we want to put on that showcase and then display that to the website. That to me is the easiest one to get streamlined and get a process kind of going to where it hooks up with your website where new people can kind of see it. All
right. So I'm going to be completely honest with everyone here. Benny, Tim, I'm not going to even throw Joseph. Joseph can talk, but we didn't even do any prep for this because Benny and Tim were talking about other stuff. And I said, guys, it's 11. We got to go live. Perfect answer, because that was the feature I would, lean towards first is showcases. I'm going to go to Tim next when we're thinking showcases. Tim, you've installed some showcases. What are some things that a contractor can do to maybe maximize that showcase? Because like anything, it's one thing to say, hey, I've got the showcase widget installed on my website. If you want to learn more about that, we can definitely help you do that. We're going to have a class next month on installing showcases and some of these features. But
I feel like some of these things are easier to listen to when you put them as mistakes. So I'm going to say a mistake, and then I'm going to say the right way to do it. So
perfect.
A mistake would be just throwing any picture up for any type of project, even if it's low end, right? Like it's not something that you want to do more of. So the positive of that would be show what you want to grow. Don't just put everything into the showcase, right? But let's show what we want to grow. Ask, you were talking about this a little bit before, of an aspirational neighborhood that you want to do more of, or a particular type of material that you're trying to do a lot more of. And there's ways to tag those things in showcases. So there's a lot more, there's this advanced functionality that a lot of people aren't using, the ability to kind of the sortability feature of showcases, which I think is incredibly awesome, and that you don't really have to go in and get your website login and these types of things. You just work right in CompanyCam. Just drag over the projects that make the most sense. A mistake would be just doing the straight on flat home versus with it's marketing now. So let's get that angled shot, that angled up, that nice look. And then there's a lot of little photography hacks, but like one of them is that 1/3, 2/3 ratio. You've got the figure in 1/3 or 2/3, and then you've kind of got open space. So there's little photography hacks that you can do. You don't have to be a pro, okay? I'm just saying, learn a little bit about what makes like a good composition of a photograph. A mistake might be that you're updating it once a year. I honestly think if you do a project, you add a nice project to your showcase at least once a month, that starts to add up. And now we've got these beautiful, I mean, more often is great, but I'm just trying to make it manageable for folks. If you get one great project in there a month, that will start to add up, and it's really a good thing. It's fresh, right? We want those fresh projects. And, good, or I guess the mistake, let's say no text in your project. The right way to do that is, more description, clarity. What does the homeowner really want? It's a little different. Obviously, traditionally people have used CompanyCam a little bit more on the documentation side. So we're just switching that mindset for these projects to then let's describe it from a way a homeowner would want to hear about it. And then, yeah, basically, it looks like Benny's got a suggestion with the drone up 50 feet in the air and 45 degrees down. I love that. The beautiful up top shot. So there's a lot of photography pieces that it doesn't have to be perfect, but just having the right angles and a little bit of extra effort here is going to make these showcases pop. And ultimately, they look really good. We used to do galleries. They just weren't near as good as what these showcases are for websites. So now we're really kind of pushing everybody to update to this, so that there's the sortability features and the live updates to be able to push projects into there, which I think is powerful.
Yeah. So, and again, you can learn more about those showcases and adding those to your website. Don't want to get too far in the weeds there. One thing I want to jump on before I kick it over to Joseph, I mentioned the boys being down here. I've got a 10 and a 7-year-old, and they are active to say the least. And so show what you want to grow is such a great line. And, if I want to, I'm thinking maybe in interiors, I'm going to redo my basement, and I'm going to, have to paint or whatever it is. And I'm looking for a painting contractor, and you show me this, I don't know my paints very well, but Sherwin-Williams or whatever paint that's super uber scuff proof and all of these things. And in that, you're telling me a story. You're not just saying, hey, we use this type of material, but you're telling me a story that I can relate to as a buyer. And it's like, oh, we've got kids and we have an active, always have, this family had kids. They always had people over. They went with our Sherwin-Williams, ultra scuff proof. Or, if we're talking roofing, like, hey, this is a roof that we did with the class 4 impact shingle, and the homeowner went with this because they had numerous storms or whatever it is. And now I'm, like you said, you're showing what you want to grow. And as a buyer, I'm saying, when I'm calling Benny, hey, I saw you did a job and you used this product. I think that's what we want on, to learn more about, versus like, hey, come give me a quote. And I'm naturally in my brain saying, nah, the sales guy's just trying to upsell me here. This gives you the ability to almost let the homeowner or the buyer sell themselves into certain things. Joseph, where I think you kind of come into play with these showcases would be, how can I leverage these? So say I get in that neighborhood that I want to work with and we put a showcase together for a job. How can I leverage these to maybe get more eyeballs on these showcases from a social perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So the showcases and then the handy before and after templates that CompanyCam has, Those are really good. You know, you're in a neighborhood and you want to show other people in that neighborhood that you are working there, right? So that can be a simple before and after. A lot of our clients will do like what's called Transformation Tuesday, just to kind of keep it simple and to plan some of your social media, where every Tuesday you're sharing a before and after on your social media channels. And be sure to, like, you know, share that before and after. But again, like what Benny and Tim and Michael, you guys have all talked about, like, put yourself in the shoes of your ideal prospective client. Like, they don't really care about, you know, those fancy new shingles you put on, right? So tell a story about that project, right? Before, during, and after, like simple stuff we all learned in like third grade, right? Just tell a simple story about that project before and after. Do that every Tuesday. It's not like you're going to put out a post on, you know, Tuesday and then hope for like a bunch of leads to flood your inbox. That's not how this stuff works, right? It's about being out there, top of mind consistently, where people are remembering you, people are seeing you in their feed, whether or not they need your services. There's a good chance that most of your Facebook or your Instagram followers are not in need of your services, right? But they are in a position to recommend you, to refer you, to tag you in a local Facebook group and things like that. So that's a great a great way from an organic free content perspective to leverage those tools that CompanyCam has. And then if you want to take it a step further and pour some fuel on that fire, put some juice behind that, you can run, you know, simple geo-targeted social media ads on Facebook and Instagram, where you're targeting like, you know, 1 mile radius or 3 mile radius or whatever. And you're like, you know, letting people in that area know that you're working on the Gogan household and you're giving them a brand new roof with a 30-year warranty and peace of mind and all that good stuff. And then you're getting your content out, you know, on the phones of everyone in that radius, where people can literally drive by and check out that new roof. You know, if it's a multi-day build, they can come by and check out, you know, meet you guys, that sort of thing. So there's a lot that can be done with these showcases and with these, you know, before and after templates.
I think
go ahead, Benny.
I got one thing to add to that, Joe. So in saying like of taking it to video, right, and kind of showing your customer the processes by using the CompanyCam photos, if you get really savvy, you can edit in a screenshot of the CompanyCam so the customer can start getting used to like seeing this like CompanyCam app, because then you can like, you should be leveraging that in your sales process, right, to show customers that trust and that confidence if we document everything. And then even better yet, at the end of one of those Facebook ads videos or one of those things that you're doing, you know, in the contractor dynamics, what they train there, you can then put a call to action and say, hey, check out our other pictures that we did and other jobs that we did by going to the bottom of our website. And then you basically put them in the virtual loop of like them seeing you in a video on Facebook, them going to your website, seeing all the other projects, then getting information on that sexy website that Mr. Brown probably made for you. And then that's kind of how you can put them in that virtual loop of the customers just always getting, you know, your content.
Yeah. And I think somebody that's been using CompanyCam for a while, potentially you're not realizing how much of a differentiator it is currently, because I don't see a lot of contractors putting this out there, talking about it very often. So what Benny's talking about is like using this as the difference maker, like the documentation along the way. I see a couple, and it's usually the smartest guys and gals that are saying essentially, by the way, we document every step of the process, and a lot of folks don't do that. So like, it's okay to kind of hammer this point in your marketing. It should be maybe a differentiating feature that you use regularly in the site, on social stuff. It's something that if if your competitor is using it, sure, it's not as big of a difference, but a lot of you guys, it's not. And if you're the one saying it and they're not saying it, it feels like a difference maker. So ultimately, this documentation and this usage of CompanyCam, and maybe you brand it to yourself as far as the way you're talking about this, the documentation process. You could brand that for your company a little bit to really make it feel like a difference. Like I just wanted to point out that if you've been using this for a while, you may have forgotten how big of a deal this is to homeowners, and to try to like use it to, create more buy-in.
So I got two things to say to that because I think this is very interesting. First of all, if you're going to market that you use CompanyCam and put it in your sales process, you got to actually make sure everybody's actually using CompanyCam. So owners out
Ooh.
there that are watching this call, like this is all sounds really good and sexy. It is really good and sexy, but you have to then make sure that you follow, somebody manages that process to where salespeople are actually using it, operations guys are using it, your subcontractors are using it, because if nobody uses it, then you're going to have the coolest marketing company that never did anything followed through. That's point number one. Point number two, there is a lot of your competitors that have CompanyCam because CompanyCam's an awesome app, right? But you can do CompanyCam better than your competitors. And there's different things that you can do inside of CompanyCam that you can just do everything bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else. You just have to work harder, hustle more, and stay consistent.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm loaded with questions now and comments. Just myself, but again, chat, Q&A, feel free to fire them there. I'm going to jump back to the before and after feature that Joseph alluded to. So we've talked showcases, we've talked before and afters. I just want to get your guys' opinion on the value of this, because what Joseph said, I love. Tell the story, have a before and after. If you're going to run a geo-targeted, campaign because you're in a neighborhood that you want to do a lot more work in, I think there's probably value in getting the homeowner in one of these pictures of, hey, this, or a video or whatever it is. But I'm going to give you a story. Will Bates, Central Roofing. Joseph's probably heard this story before, but the first time I've been with CompanyCam for a while now, and before and after templates came out and I was selling on them, and I'd heard Joseph talk and I was like, I think this is a really good marketing tool. And I kind of used Joseph's Transformation Tuesday. I just said, hey guys, every good job you do should have a before and after, and you should tag the homeowners and thank them. Hey, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, for allowing us to work on your home. And Will was the first one, heard that presentation and did it. And he sends me this message on Facebook. I still have this screenshot somewhere. This I didn't get a lot of comments, honestly. It got a few comments, but it got a ton of shares and likes. And now what I always challenge people is go look at your, organic Facebook and how many shares are you getting on your typical posts? Not a ton, probably. This had, I think, 9 or 10 shares. How valuable is that from a social perspective, Joseph, of having a post that's, Central Roofing the first time, but now it's getting shared by 10 different people? How important and valuable is that for just growing your brand?
Yeah, there's talk out there about going viral. Don't worry about that. Don't get caught up in that, that nonsense. I know that's Tim's goal, but don't get
Shots
caught
fired! Shots fired!
Yeah, it's
my only goal ever.
I know it's a public goal. So if you guys can help Tim go viral, please donate to his cause.
Please,
but no, I mean,
my most recent meeting.
That's a challenge with so many contracting companies. It's like, hey, I understand this content thing, but I have 347 followers on Facebook, and the only comments I get or the only likes I get are from my mom and my sales guys, right? Hey, we've all been there, right? So one way to grow your following on social media is by that, like tagging, obviously not every homeowner is going to want to get tagged in your social media, right? But finding the right ones that you kind of jive with and you can tag and they can share. So that way you're tapping into other people's audiences, OPA. And then also tagging other local businesses as well, right? That's a way to help other businesses become 5 Mile famous as well. You're tapping into their audience. Maybe they'll share your content, maybe you can, they can do a feature on your social media as well. So kind of cross-pollinate different audiences. And then, on that note, no offense to anyone, but no one wants to see before and afters of roofs every day on their social media, right? So you've got to make it fun. I mean, Benny talks about that with his, growing big fish contracting, maybe 1 out of every 7 posts was about a roof, right? You've got to share other stuff. Share. It doesn't need to be about, puppies and babies, although, those are kind of the cheat code to marketing. But, share what's going on in your local area, right? Highlight other local businesses, do get other local leaders on your social media and things like that. So you've got to have interesting content, right? So yeah, that's it.
Monkeys as well. puppies,
that?
monkeys, and babies. I don't know where you get a
Yeah.
monkey, but I'm pretty sure if you did have a monkey, that would probably be a pretty good cheat code as well. I mean,
I'm kind of disappointed you guys didn't tell me to bring the baby into said webinar so we could
yes.
get at
Oh,
least
bring
a few screen grabs of it, and then we would have been able
Yeah.
to go viral with this webinar. But you
Let's see
guys,
this baby.
I think three.
oh,
So I'll just touch on the
Joking, we all,
viral thing real quick.
me, you, and Tim all have babies right now. Fresh.
I'm the only one without a baby.
Yeah,
Man.
Joe's. Maybe your wife's pregnant, Joe. You haven't found out yet.
I want to note about the viral thing because I actually think it's interesting because a lot of people are kind of thinking that way right now, right? I want to say just because I've been trying, actually, I've been trying. I want to note that like when I look at it, because I see things where people do go viral or things like I really believe in Facebook and I believe in local a lot right now, and local and niche and local. So for me, it's niche. For you, it's local. And I feel like the intent of getting on TikTok is just not the same. And it's really hard to do something like the stuff that I see going viral. It's either not about roofing, but that's the obvious one, and not about roofing, or it's like for roofers, or sorry, not about. And,
Yeah,
and it's
TikTok's
different if
interest
you
based. That's
have.
because TikTok is interest based. The whole way the algorithm works is based on what you're actually shooting, not on you as the influencer or the company or the brand or the person. So, like, if I shoot babies all day, they're going to start following me for babies. As soon as I start shooting roofing, only the people that are interested in roofing are going to like see that, and homeowners aren't interested in roofing. That's why I don't think TikTok's the answer.
Well, the other side though is like just for other types of home service contractors, painting satisfying, right? So there's satisfying, and then there's the beauty of a remodel. There's certain trades where it's going to it does make sense, but it's just knowing, being accurate about the value of things. Yeah, the levers. And so for roofers and it's just not as big of a platform from my point of view, but I ultimately have been trying to learn it for myself because I like learning algorithms. And I do want to go viral one day, but like we got feature 3 to-do list.
We need a campaign. Help Tim go viral. Let's go figure it out.
I'm trying to get the train back. I'm trying to get the train back on the tracks, but Benny actually kind of talked about this, and when he was talking about the full circle there, CompanyCam to-do lists, and I don't even know if we put this in the marketing for building your brand, but after Benny talked about having CompanyCam as a part of your process in the sales piece, in the production piece, you can leverage to-do lists at any point in time so that you can be saying like, hey, here's our inspection to-do list or checklist. Here's our production. I want to go to the very end of the job because I think that's a great spot to really build your brand, get reviews. A lot of the things that I hear contractors talk about all the time where it's like, I can't get reviews. I can't get that picture with the happy homeowner, in front of their job or whatever it is. How important, Benny, is having a clean job site and a job site that's left where the homeowner's not upset in building a brand? Obviously, I know that answer is extremely important. Like, you could have done everything from step 1 till the end perfect, and as soon as you leave a few nails or a can of paint or whatever it is, you're the worst contractor ever. It doesn't matter how good you did. So having a to-do list for post-job completion you can use that in the sales process. Like, yeah, we're going to do this. But how valuable would that be in building this brand where you can then say, hey, we're going to do all of these things. We're going to get these pictures. I don't know if you're using it yet, Benny, but when you talked about, the full loop, I was like, to-do lists are a feature that you can leverage in CompanyCam to build your brand.
Yeah, so a lot of things I want to touch on there. You said it perfectly when you said you're right. It doesn't matter how good of a roofer you are, how good of a salesman you are. That job site doesn't look good, you're the worst roofer ever. Now, you could be the best roofer technically, and you'd be the best salesperson ever. You leave a bucket of nails there, you're the scumbag in their eyes. So that is first and foremost so important. To-do list, I hate them personally because I don't like being told what to do, but here's the thing. They need it's two-pronged approach. You have to have a process, right? Consistent to grow after you're the guy out there doing it by yourself. So if you're a one-man band, yeah, you can kind of get away with it because you just know what to do. But as soon as you start hiring other humans, the to-do list actually help with the accountability. It makes them more accountable, and then it makes their boss more accountable to them, because now there's just like this, we can blame it on CompanyCam. We can blame it on the to-do list and CompanyCam. Oh, like it said that you had to do that next, and then you need a picture to like process it to go to the next one. Now, I will warn you guys out there, do not go all the way to like, and make 58 to-dos because you're all excited about to-do lists, especially if you're an operator or a manager and you're thinking, oh, they're not going to miss anything, because then they have to stop what they're doing. They have to take a picture of every single thing to move forward. So you got to make it reasonable. Just like anything, anytime you implement a new piece of software, like, start with baby steps and then keep getting better and better and better and better. But I love the to-do list. It was actually on, I think we came up with that in the advisory board a couple of years ago. That was an idea that a contractor had. And we the contractors are the ones that decided we wanted that, and we got it. Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece. I'm going to throw
Is
a little
Pepsi
plug.
sponsoring this, by the way?
I mean,
I was wondering that too.
Let's get some Diet Mountain Dew props here, because I drink more than anybody, so they should sponsor this. As we're talking about going viral here. But one thing too, I'm going to throw a subtle plug in for our newest add-on feature of signatures. Signatures just came out. Another great way to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I just completed the post-job inspection here. You want to do a quick job walk with me? We did that. Could you go ahead and sign here so that my boss, Benny, doesn't get mad at me when you call him and say that the job wasn't left clean, because you're signing that we're both in agreement here. So that's just a little subtle plug for that feature.
Is there a cost for that?
Yeah, $49 right now. It's in beta.
Do you charge by the signature?
Nope.
Wow. So that's going to be a huge savings after one of the leading CRMs that charges by the signature. So just make sure that people know that, because that's going to be awesome.
Real deal.
Yeah, because now I don't have to get my signatures in my CRM. I can get them in CompanyCam. Whoa, I got to get off this webinar and go get the update out.
So feature 3, let's go feature 4. I'm going to go galleries and timelines kind of as a together feature. They're obviously two separate features. High level galleries are selected photos that I'm going to share once and they're shared in the moment. Timeline is the ability to say, hey, I haven't taken any photos at your project, but here's a link, and every photo that I do take, every video that I do take is going to come into this timeline. Let's talk, and I don't care who goes first, but let's talk about how that can be valuable in both building a brand and being able to market, with the fact that like, hey, you're going to be in the know as a homeowner. And then we'll kind of get Benny on the back end of this one, because Benny's the one that's using timelines and using galleries. So he can kind of give us his experience with using them.
Sure. I just want to note that like all these things, whether it's the sharing the photos in the moment with the timeline and stuff like that, or the checklist, I want to note that as well. You can put your brand on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and make it feel branded to them. Like, I think that when you brand process, brand checklist, brand things like the timeline for your company, one, it makes it secure for marketing. You can say, we do the Big Fish timeline or whatever. Maybe probably a better name than that. But the point is,
it's a great name.
It's good for marketing, but it's also good for that internal marketing. I use brands, like we have hookified elements in our websites. We call them hookified elements. I never talk about that in marketing. It's not the point. I'm doing it for our team. So our team, I'm marketing to my team. I'm branding concepts for my team internally, so that they feel adoption's easier when you have something to call it. So I'm always thinking about branding, even for internal processes. And I think there's a lot of things like this that could be branded.
Awesome. Yeah. And on that note of like sharing the showcases and the galleries and things like that, like just in the way that we as consumers, property owners, decision makers, like we want to know what's going on with everything that we're buying, right? Like we take that buying decision far. We're doing our own research. We want to know what's going on. And just think about, one of the objections that, everyone's had a bad experience with a contractor, right? And a lot of it comes down to like this opaqueness. Like, I don't know, when they're going to show up. I don't know what's going into the price. I don't know what they're doing. They're up on the roof. Like, I have no idea if they're, causing damage and then, charging me to fix the damage, right? Or, if my roof is really that bad, like, I have no idea. Like, I'm never going up on my roof, right? So this is a way to like bring that level of transparency to your market, to your clients, right? Because we expect that transparency with everything else that we buy. Whether it's a laptop, a phone, a vehicle, like we know what's going on. We can see videos, right? With our roof, with our, whatever, is just using roofing as an example, right? Because it's hard to see, right? We're never up there. So bring that level of trust and transparency to our markets, to our clients is absolutely huge. They might not care about ice and water shield or drip edge or, those other things, right? But just the fact that you're willing to like pull back the curtain and show them what's going on. I think a great example is, taking my car to like the mechanic. Like, I don't know anything about cars, right? So I'm that guy that's like, they're like, it's going to be $1,300 for this and that. And the other thing, I'm like, if you say so, like, I don't know, like, let's just go with it. Right. But like, if my mechanic was to show me, like, if they had CompanyCam and they were like, hey, here's what's going on with this hose and this little thing over here and this spark plug or whatever, my lack of knowledge is really showing right now. But I'd be more, open to like trusting that mechanic and having that great experience. So yeah, that's huge.
And you might not even look at the pictures if you don't really care, but just the fact of knowing that service
Exactly.
provider was able to like say, oh, you can, because I guarantee you, if my mechanic sent me 200 pictures, I'd be like, thanks, boss. Here's the 1,300. Thanks. Have a great day."
Exactly. Right.
So to piggyback on that of, building that transparency, being that source of truth, let me just throw a hypothetical out. Elementary school in your area, and you win the job. Because I'm sure it's a bidded, you bid the project, you get the job. How could I leverage my Facebook and my social media, Joseph, and that timeline and that Transformation Tuesday, and tell the story to the right audience? You kind of alluded to it before with, that, geo-targeting, but the great thing about an elementary school is I can literally go and find a map of exactly everybody like that's going to go to that school. And I can say, maybe we want to tell the story to that area. Is that something that, would be a good way to like, it's a commercial job, but if I do residential as well, and I'm not out trying to say like, hey, you need to hire me because I'm doing a great job on your child's, school's roof, but it's like, hey, have some fun with this of like, the leaky classrooms and all these things that we're fixing. I'm going to tell that story through Transformation Tuesday, maybe using timeline, maybe using gallery. Is that something that I could easily do using like Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for sure, have some fun with it. And yeah, I mean, two ways to do that, right? Like, it's a commercial project, so you can go out and leverage that for additional elementary schools in your area. You're going to do more than a 5-mile radius, probably like a 25-mile radius, right? Because there's just not that many schools that are in need of a roof like today, right now. But yeah, like just that trust factor, like, all right, well, the school that you trust to send your children to for 8 hours a day trusted us to do their roof, right? So there's like, you don't want to say that maybe explicitly, but like implicitly with your messaging, the trusted roofing company for, for your kids' school, or to keep the roof over your head for your kids while, during the day, whatever that might be, that specific messaging. But absolutely, anytime that you're doing something like that, or you're working for like, one of your clients is like, the guy in town that like everyone knows, right? Like, definitely use that as an opportunity to like create that leverage. For sure. Even if you're involved in like a, like a charitable organization, like a lot of companies will do like a roof, like a free roof for veterans, or like, Roofers in Recovery Day or something like that. You don't want to draw attention to yourself being like, hey, we're doing something for charity. But it's like, if you frame it in a lens of like, hey, we're doing this to bring more attention to this cause, that's huge. So as far as like having fun with the actual content, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with that for sure. But never, don't go into a project like that with like marketing it as an afterthought. Like get it into your process to go into a project like that with a content plan, right? Like here's what we want to get. We want to be very intentional about, the content we want to get from this project, because we can take this $250,000 project and leverage it to, to earn, $5 million in additional business if we do it right. So go into it with a plan. Don't just like view it as an afterthought. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just thinking, like, obviously get permission from, if you're working with an elementary school or whatever you're doing, any client you're working with, get permission in that case. But, you go into the old elementary schools and you see the stained tiles from leaks and all of these things, and like have some fun with that, market it, make sure that, that area knows what you're doing. And then it's like, oh, a patron of the school sees it. And it's like, well, hey, we've got a little stain on our living room ceiling from a leak. Like maybe we should give, Big Fish a call and have them come out and look at our roof. Like, I just think like anything you can do to tell those stories. And, the value is you have all of this in CompanyCam already. It's just, how do you leverage that in the social world? How do you leverage that on your website? How do you stay in communication with your client? Because, there's probably things you could leverage from a timeline or a gallery standpoint to whoever it was that trusted you with that elementary job, to say, hey, we're going to be in constant communication with you guys from a visual standpoint, so that, if you do have 80 elementaries in that district, that the, school board or whoever made that decision's like, well, the next time we need to do a job, it's Big Fish because of how great they did using that, gallery or timeline to communicate with us. And to Benny's point, they're probably not even looking at it. Like maybe sometimes they are, but like a lot of times it's just the like comfort in knowing that they could look at it if they need to. So
yeah, it's just a lot of accountability everywhere. For as an owner of an organization, it is one of my favorite tools, because I know my customers are seeing it. They know what to expect. My employees know what to expect. And it's just it's like working 24/7 behind the clock is like the most transparent accountability that we have in contracting. Contractors have a bad name, and it's because of lack of trust. This gives trust. And when you talk about telling stories, right? And like, I'm big on like telling a story of like, all right, cool, we're going to talk about this elementary school roof job. All right. And then Joe teaches, and I'm sure Tim knows how to do this. You got to have a problem and a solution, right? So the problem and the solution is going to be shown through the CompanyCam. But then if you can get there, like the school board members or whoever, like the janitor or somebody, to say, oh, we had this problem, right? Cut to a shot of the CompanyCam, right? And then, hey, Big Fish came in, and you have one of your project managers talking about the project, and then the solution, right? Pictures and videos from CompanyCam as part of your solution. Then you have the call to action, which could be not really like, hey, look at me. It could just be like, you're a media producer. So think of you of like, you work for like NBC, and you're really just shining a light on your own company. Okay. Until NBC actually shows up and starts shining a light on you. Right. So you have to be that guy. You have to be that producer. You're basically just making a small little film to give value to the school, to show that the people that made the decisions on the school board, who also live in that community, and they also have kids in school, and they also own homes, right? Make those decisions. You got to make them look smart. You got to make your company look good. You got to make, on these wide shots, and there's kids in the background and stuff like that. That's all going to be good. Then you can take that piece of content and then run 5 Mile Famous ads, put that stuff on your website and through a blog or an article, and tie it all together. And like, it just starts to like expand, and then your mind blows, because like, then you can do that and then just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. Pretty soon you're 5 Mile Famous.
I do want to just touch on this problem-focused marketing strategy. Ultimately, people can hear more when it's a problem. For some reason, that's the way our brains work. I kind of wish it wasn't that way. I kind of wish our brains didn't work that way. But like, if you tell somebody this is a leak that we found, and this is a problem, and it could happen to you. I mean, and not hammer them over the head with it, but tastefully, like, it's like a snake in the perimeter of our eye. You know what I mean? Like we are gonna see that more than anything. You could have this cupcake over here and this snake over here. We're gonna see the snake right away more than the cupcake, even though it's there's opportunity, right? There's opportunity and then there's pain. Avoidance of pain in marketing is such a big piece. It just grabs attention. And if you can find a way to work that in without becoming a negative company, I think is really like a challenge. It's a difficult challenge for all of us marketing wise. But what I like, and I'm grateful for you guys at CompanyCam, you're training home service contractors how to take these pictures when there is a problem for documentation's sake. And ultimately all the stuff that we're not talking about right now, because we're talking about marketing, but the stuff around limiting your liability, documenting the problem before you start solving it so that you're not responsible for all the extra perimeter problems just by fixing that one. But you're training yourself to take these pictures, and ultimately we can tell those stories in a tasteful way. But I just wanted to touch on that concept of marketing, that is, if you can find a way to talk about problems and avoidance of pain, avoiding pain, it's uncomfortable. It's harder to do that tastefully than it is to just talk about the happy, yay, the customer, they love us, and look at this. It's actually like, that's easy to talk about, right? But honestly, most of us kind of just like scroll past that because it's kind of boring.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's especially because we know it's promotion. So like if
Yeah.
you can find tasteful ways to work in this problem avoidance into your marketing, I think you're going to capture more attention. And if you find a way to do it in a tasteful way, you're going to get way more than your fair share of attention, which is what we're really trying to do in marketing. We're trying to get, no offense, but like a roofing company shouldn't necessarily take up most of your average homeowner's attention. But if we can find a way to get a little bit more than our fair share, and it's either this problem avoidance, and the other one is obviously like stuff that isn't roofing, but the brand's on there, yay. It's just more brand impressions, then we get more than our fair share. And that's ultimately, I think, a little bit about what we're trying to do in marketing, and make sure that when they have that problem, when they have that same problem or they have a problem like it, I remember, oh, that guy solves those problems. They solve it, and they don't make the homeowner feel dumb. They make them feel smart for hiring a 5-star contractor that cares about customer service. Basically the way you're talking about these problems, I don't know. It's just a very effective marketing strategy if you can find a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are kind of running close to time here. We hit all 5 features. Actually, we hit all 4 features that we advertised, and we added the 5th with to-do list and building your brand. So this is for the audience. Any questions that you guys would have that you want to get answered, now is your time. If not, I'm going to give each of you guys kind of just a thank you and a parting shot if there's anything you feel like we didn't talk about. And then finally, Joseph and I, and Tim and I guess Joseph, Tim, and I all together, we sat down and recorded some great content on, just marketing as a whole, when you should use internal and training, when you should go external. We've got that piece of content as well that we're going to be debuting here in the near future. So anybody joining us for this, we will make sure you get access to that. And then, Benny and I think are going to be creating content all the time because Benny's just awesome, runs a great business. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have questions, now is your time. Get those in before I give each guy their parting shot. But Joseph, Benny, Tim, was a pleasure to, have you guys on today. Anything you feel like we missed? If not, maybe just how can they get a hold of you guys if they're, interested?
So one of the things I want to bring up is with every business, right? Not pointing the finger at contractors. I'm guilty of this too. We look at these tools, whether it's a CRM or whether it's CompanyCam or whatever, and it's like, man, this thing's gonna solve my problem. I'm gonna switch CRMs because it's gonna solve my problem with this, right? Like Tim said, I don't know if it's on this one or another piece of content, but like follow money with effort, right? Like you've invested in the CompanyCam. It's this amazing tool that you know, maybe you don't need to go search for other tools. Like learn how to use this one and train your team on it. It could be a game changer. So just, you know, invest in, it's not just about signing up for CompanyCam. Like that's not enough, right? We've got to learn how to use these things and to utilize them as assets for our businesses. Whether you're a sales rep, whether you're an owner, whether you have one location, whether you have 7 locations, like use these tools and learn how to use them. You know, hire people to teach you how to use them if you know, if need be. So go all in, right? We have the resources that we did not have 5 years ago. This is an amazing tool, so use it.
Agreed. And Tim Brown, hookagency.com. Of course, if you guys ever want to get a beautiful website, vigorous, consistent SEO or tight Google ad management, where we're not wasting your money, but we're managing it actually diligently every single month, we'd love to chat. And just for everyone in here, thank you for letting me be part of this. I think the best part about working with these niched companies, and I mean, it's really just this we care about our reputation, and so I appreciate everyone in here for that too, that you guys care about your reputation and have great reputations. I mean, Contractor Dynamics has an amazing reputation. CompanyCam has an amazing reputation. Big Fish is, I'm sure, very locally has an amazing reputation. And look at him. He's out here just creating content and creating a broader reputation as well. So anyways, I really appreciate everyone that joined.
Yeah, and same likewise. This is a great group of guys I've gotten to know over the last 3, 4, 5 years hanging out in the roofing industry. The roofing industry has totally transformed my life, and one of the first apps that I ever did that was CompanyCam, to help me manage processes better, right? And I can't begin to tell you like how that, as a futuristic and as a visionary leader, that I wanted to have tech in my company. And the fact that they keep updating it for me is like the cool part. Like they always are coming out with new stuff, right? To kind of keep staying fresh and out there. And that's what I like. I do want to add one thing about reviews, because I think that, 7 years ago, I set out to like have a lot of Google reviews, and now everybody's trying to catch on, right? And everybody is focused on Google reviews, and I think it's great. Well, here's the next thing. How do we get that 2-dimensional Google review? Because I've been noticing when I do get a bad review from every once in a while, they always attach photos to it. I'm like, oh man, the only photos that customers are uploading are bad ones. All right, now guess what we got to do? It's not enough just to get the review. Now we got to get the review with a happy picture of the customer. That's 2-dimensional. And hopefully one day 3-dimensional, maybe Google will allow video of video reviews. I don't know. But then that'll tie back into, you can use those testimonials on your website and on your Facebook ads. And I think that would really kind of complete the cycle for you. And yeah, I'm CompanyCam
Testimonial, baby.
CompanyCam's about to save me $40,000 in a lawsuit, by the way. You guys want a hook? That's a hook, right? That got your attention, right? And for the what, 20, 30 bucks a month per user? I mean, are you kidding me? 40 grand I'm about to win in a lawsuit because this customer tried to pin something on me, and I had all the pictures.
Yeah. My marketing team's
don't raise your prices on me, because
I was gonna say my marketing team's gonna love the story. My finance team's gonna probably send you an invoice. But guys, again, I appreciate you all. Obviously, everyone joining us, we appreciate you as well. If those 5 features, and we kind of alluded to video, and obviously video and photo are just the bread and butter of CompanyCam, so we didn't really talk about those as features. But next month, all of our feature classes that we do on a monthly basis are going to be focused on these tools to build your brand and use in marketing. So rhyme or reason to our marketing. I think Joseph alluded to that earlier in the presentation, but the plan is to do this fun, interactive, if you've got questions, and then next month we're going to dive deeper into these features. Guys, thank you all, and we'll see you next month with another round of webinars.
Peace.